Yeah, obviously it's going to be Alabama or Kentucky, and we've kind of been looking at both. We're not as familiar with Kentucky, although I've talked to Gary Henderson a bunch. We're pretty close, and Kentucky's a really interesting club. I mean, you look at what they did against a Florida club who's really good. You look at what they did against a very good South Carolina club, and it's just kind of been a little bit up and down for them. But they can certainly beat anybody in our league. They've shown that, and they have a really interesting closer, and they have some pretty good starting pitching. The real issue in this tournament is because everybody's short a day, and in some cases, if you're playing today, you're short 2 days on turning your starting guys around from last Thursday. So we're going to stay with Dakota for sure on Thursday and give them the full week. I'm very hopeful that if we can play well and win a game, that we got to get Sexton out there, because if he doesn't pitch and he goes 2 weeks without pitching, or 13 days or whatever it is, that's going to be difficult for him, because he's a guy who needs to touch a baseball and work a little bit. So, we'll probably Zach's going to get the ball tomorrow, Zach Houston, and we'll probably have some bullpen pieces that are going to help. I'd love not to use Humphreys, but if we need an out or two or three at the end, he'll be available to us. I really don't want to use a Daniel Brown either, but if we have to, we will, because it's that important a game for us. So all these games are important because, even though we won the league, there's still a lot at stake for us for sure.
You talk about that, a lot of people say just lose two and go home because you really have nothing to gain, but it seems like your team just wants to play baseball. Don't care what's at stake, where it's at. Is that what you kind of sense from
Yeah,
that?
I think so. There's two extremes. If you lose two, you have that taste in your mouth of not playing well. If the opposite extreme of that is you win five or whatever, and your team can be a little tired and exhausted, and you have to kind of refresh, and it's hard. It's hard to work when your kids are really tired, and a lot of that 5 games depends really upon what time of day you're playing in Hoover, because we all know, I mean, Hoover at midday can be a pretty warm. On the field it can be 100 degrees. So if you're playing at night, it's a whole different thing. But we'll take all those things into account. And our kids, they want to win. I mean, they've I don't know how many in a row we won, but they want to win, and they want to keep winning, just like everybody else is in this tournament. So hopefully we'll get a great effort out of Zach Houston, and our bullpen pieces will come through, and we'll score in a ballpark that's tough to score in. It's a big ballpark. But yeah, it's going to be a fun week for us, I hope.
You got some guys in the bullpen that hadn't thrown a whole lot here lately. Is this a week where you can try to get some of those guys out there if it works out that way?
I think so, especially in game one. I think it matches up in game one better than in two, because you want Dakota to throw us 100 pitches, and hopefully you get him 6, 7, 8 innings into a ball game. But you're not going to give him 120. Even if he's going to shutout like he was on Thursday night, you're not going to run that risk, and it'll be even though he doesn't want that ball pried out of his hands, we'll do it, because we know that there's a lot at stake to make sure that he's healthy and ready to go in 2 weeks.